Welcome back, boys and girls. It is show 18. And it's been too long for me to remember where the summer show fits into this. But it's Carla and Crrappy show. It's the last one of the season. Hence the name. We're down to one game, so the name, the Natty edition. Carla,
yes.
We're almost finished with the 11th season.
Well, that's crazy on a number of levels,
Yes.
for a number of reasons, but yeah, it just kind of feels like it's been a weird week. Like there's no football to watch this week. Like it's been real weird. I'm trying to will myself into basketball season, and it's just not. It's not happening yet. So,
I have a Penguins. If you're watching, you'll notice that I have a Penguins hat on. I'm trying to force that transition as well, but I will be in denial for at least a couple weeks. All-star games. There are all-star games, which I watch because I am that desperate. Anyway, part of the thing that it's going to be so hard to make this transition is that the last week of bowl season was fantastic.
Yeah.
Especially, and I've heard this mentioned more than one place, and I would have to agree, regardless of the outcome of the games. The semifinals, I don't recall two semifinal games that were that tight, that interesting, that much fun in the same year. I think this is the year that subsequent years, playoff years, are going to have to live up to.
Yeah, absolutely. Right? I 100% agree with that as they were happening. Haymaker after haymaker after haymaker being thrown in both games. Mm-hmm. To the extent of the ultimate the ultimate finish, much to your Buck's chagrin, but I mean, like you couldn't have asked for that. I mean, the kick happening literally at the stroke of midnight, you could not have scripted that any better, other than maybe that kick having a chance. But like just the whole night,
get him a little closer.
Yeah, very true.
Just a little closer.
Yeah, it was what, a 52-yarder.
It is a tough thing. He's not, he's an experienced kicker, but in that situation, asking a college kicker to make your career long,
yeah. Under that pressure, yeah. But
there's a lot. There was a lot to digest there. Was there a thing or a couple things from the big boy bowls or from that, just like that last stretch, that really got your attention?
Well, yeah, I mean, the same thing that you led the show with, the fact that those semifinals were both incredible games. Yeah. I will admit I didn't see quite as much of the first game as I would have liked. I was at enjoying New Year's Eve with some friends, and we had 11 children under the age of 8. So we didn't, I mean, it was one of those weird things that, like, we were sitting in the living room, kids were upstairs, whatever, Ellie was down with us. And every time you turned at the TV, somebody had scored. Mm-hmm. Like, it was just one of those, like, bizarre it was one of the hardest games to try to keep track of when you were only half watching, because every time you turned and looked, like, the score was different.
That would be difficult.
So yeah, I had to go back and watch extensive highlights of that game to really kind of understand what happened. We got home in time to watch the entirety of the Ohio State Georgia game. So, so I felt like I had a better handle on that game, but that whole day was just spectacular, other than Kansas State. Womp.
Yeah.
That was the disappointment for me out of the entire week, was, and you knew when it happened too, when K-State did what you need to do against Alabama, right? Mm-hmm. Went for it on 4th and goal. You can't kick field goals and expect to win against Alabama. Yep. Did exactly what you should do. And then Bama goes down and scores in 57 seconds, and it's 21-10 at the half. And you knew at that point, it was just like, well, that's probably it for them. Mm-hmm. And it just got uglier from there. So, Rose Bowl, obviously pleased with the outcome there.
What was the Rose Bowl? What happened there?
That would be a nice win for my Nittany Lions. I hope Cam Rising is okay. the one thing that sucked about that game, was that I really would have liked to have seen him
2 Rose Bowls in a row.
Yeah. And your heart just breaks for him.
You feel bad for the kid.
And it didn't even look like that bad of a hit. I think he just got hit awkwardly, and that knee's been bothering him all year. And it just sucks for him. And it sucks for fans of college football who would have liked to have seen that game play out. But I mean, obviously Penn State finding a huge big play offense was spectacular. I'm not sure which was better, Singleton's 87-yard run or Clifford's 88-yard pass. Like, it was just those two big scoring plays back to back for the Nittany Lions in the second half, put the game away. And I mean, something we really hadn't seen a lot from the Penn State offense all year, were the big haymakers like that. So that was kind of fun. And by the way, the kid who caught the 88-yard touchdown pass, Keandre Lambert-Smith, he's a sophomore. Okay. So he'll be back. The not football related things that were fun. Sean Clifford's curtain call. I mean, does it get better than that? To end your college career on a curtain call like he was able to have in the Rose Bowl. I mean, that's just, you saw that moment, and to see him get so emotional in that moment.
That was very cool to see.
That was spectacular. Followed up by the immediate aftermath of that, which was Sean Clifford chasing around stealthily James Franklin with a box of rose petals.
Sort of stealthily. I mean, you gotta, Sean, you just gotta do it. I mean, and I know there's a touchdown scored late, and maybe that's not the best time to douse your head coach with rose petals or Gatorade or mayo or whatever. But we will take his performance on the field rather than laud his handling of the rose petals.
I just thought it was funny because the game was in hand at that point, and that they spent so much time following that storyline. I was like, this is incredible. I love this. Him trying to do that. Other non-football things, Rose Parade. I told you I was just excited about seeing the blue band in the Rose Parade. If you can find a video of it, I have not been able to find it, but try to find a video of the Rose Parade with the Penn State band turning the corner. They did the old school ceremonial style corner turn, not the gate turn, which is where everybody shifts and the lines come down.
Because when Ohio State's marching band does that, there's this triangle of people that juts way out to the side and then kind of marches. I don't know which one that is.
It's very similar to the one that Penn State band executed, and it was done flawlessly. And as somebody who works or who is a marching band nerd, has spent 9 years of her life in marching band, that turn is hella hard. And
it would have to be. I mean, there's no way to really do that gracefully.
No, and most try to do the gate turn, which sucks for the people that are on the outside edge because you're essentially running around the turn. So it was just, and the camera was just right. Like, they had the overhead camera going when they did it. And it was just like, I was cheering from home. I was like, yes, they did the ceremonial turn. So kudos on that. Okay, enough non-football stuff. My final football thing was might rival the two playoff games would be the final 4 minutes and 30 seconds of the Cotton Bowl. And Tulane,
that's fantastic.
Spectacular.
That was easily my favorite game of the last stretch of games. Just an incredible game, incredible performance by the Green Wave. Lincoln Riley, you might want to figure out some defense before you join the Big Ten. That's going to be a thing for you in a couple seasons. But you have a little time to work on that. Tulane joins Boise State, Houston, and UCF as the group of 5 teams to win a New Year's Six bowl game since we entered the college football playoff era in 2014. That was a fantastic performance, and I do have a Green Wave shirt on the way. I don't know why. I was caught in a weak moment. Other things, OU, this is not a big boy bowl game. OU beat Wyoming. I did not watch as pledged. I have heard that it was a really gross, misogynistic broadcast on the part of the Tavern Furniture Sports internet site. So I'm glad I didn't have to digest that in person. Just happy for OU to pick up a win and complete a killer turnaround season for Tim Albin. Favorite thing about the Peach Bowl? I mean, the solace in that Ohio State should have won, maybe,
and that they were like in that game the entire way, which I had doubts about entering.
They were in control of that game for 3/4 of it.
Yep.
As I said, I wanted to see more offense. I wanted to. You felt like the foot came off the pedal a little bit in the second half, particularly in the fourth quarter. Although you don't know to what degree that was because of the absence of Marvin Harrison after he got knocked out. Certainly, without. I'm not sure that having Mayan Williams, Travion Henderson healthy that would probably make some difference. Mayan did get a couple carries in the game. But it felt like there was enough of a running game just to kind of loosen things up for CJ Stroud. He helped himself in that fashion, which he's made it clear that is not something he is really comfortable doing. But a couple of the touchdown pass with Marvin Harrison sliding to his knees in the end zone, that came on the end of an unbelievable scramble. Whether we're talking, about a running quarterback or not. It was a hard ending, but I'm not. I'm how I feel about that. It turned out to be okay. CJ Stroud's performance. I've read stuff since that said he kind of launched himself into the QB1 slot in the upcoming NFL draft. Which is outstanding for him. There are a lot of what ifs, a lot of injury kind of things that go, man, I wish, but,
yep.
As we may discuss here in a moment, Georgia, mortable.
Yeah.
Mortable. One thing before we get to that game, because that is what we do here on the show. We talk about the upcoming games, and there is one more to talk about. We shall look back. As you guys may recall, at the request of Aiden, our young friend who joined us on Bowlapalooza last season, we began to tally the results of the Bowlapalooza picks, the folks that we have on, the games that we select. We are through this year's bowl season, so we have finals. And we have a champion. So this is we're gonna take a moment here and name the very first, not the first. The first was Gabby, our friend from Notre Dame, who claimed she knows nothing about college football besides the Fighting Irish, which we're all still calling BS on her. This year, however, the title goes to the one of us who is still officially involved with college football. Here are your totals. Kelly, 2 wins. Crrappy and Gabby, 3 wins. Carla and AJ, you guys got 4 apiece. And mostly because he was the only one of us to pick Louisville in the Fenway Bowl, which I think was the game that he wanted to talk about, if I remember correctly.
Yes, it was.
Jake Rose with 5.
Woo!
So Jake is the champion of the what I'm calling the second annual Bowlapalooza Bonanza. I have looked, and I don't remember if I mentioned this on the show or if we were afterwards or what it was. I was gonna find old trophies to send to these people with little signs on it that say you were the
yes.
the 2022 champions. And looking around at the thrift stores that I have easy access to, I'm not seeing a lot of old trophies. What I am seeing is a glut of old Pittsburgh Pirates bobbleheads. So just as an example, Gabby and Jake, if you guys are watching, you can look for your respective Bowlapalooza Bonanza trophies, kind of like this one. This is Zach Duke from the mid-aughts, brought to you by Southwest Airlines. I vaguely remember him. So, but we have a couple of those. You guys will be getting those in the mail very, very soon. Gabby, of course, you're getting your recognition because I just thought of the trophy thing this year. You're getting yours a year late. Jake, congratulations. You are the reigning Bowlapalooza Bonanza champion.
Congratulations, Jake.
And yeah, absolutely, congratulations. You can look forward to Zach Duke or somebody in your mailbox very, very soon.
That's fabulous.
I think it works for me on many, many levels. So
also the fact that they're pirates, which is kind of, like the epitome of what Bowlapalooza is all about, really.
Yeah, I think you're right. There are a lot of parallels there, and I am good with this. The thing that we do on the Carla and Crrappy show, as I mentioned, is that we pick games, and there's one more game. Just one more game, in fact, if we're not counting the 1AA title game, which is Sunday, and you should absolutely watch that because that's followed up on 7:30 p.m. on Monday, January 9th, on ESPN from lovely, shiny, brand new SoFi Stadium in Los Angeles, California. It is the number 3 TCU Horny Toads, who arrived in the game by beating Michigan on New Year's Eve, versus your number 1 Georgia Lucky Dogs, who snuck past my Buckeyes in the late game on New Year's Eve. Georgia is favored by 12.5 points. There's an AJ Fund index of what seems to be a fairly standard 62.5. I don't know if that's like the starting point for these games, but I'm pretty sure when we did the Big Boy show last week that there were a number of 62.5s or thereabouts.
63s and 61s.
Yeah, somewhere in there, somewhere in there. Carla, is it the Death Star? Is it the Team of Destiny? How's this going to go?
So, several things that I picked up from watching replays and reading analysis out of the 2 semifinal games. The story that we all saw unfold in the Peach Bowl, right, was that Georgia is number 11 in the nation in total defense. But they're not in the top 50 in pass defense, and we saw that. We saw that in the Peach Bowl. Ohio State was able to move the ball for the most part at will through that game until the fourth quarter. This is a TCU offense that puts up similar numbers to Ohio State on offense. And I would argue that entering this game, they have more confidence, right? Because they've just come off of a huge win, whereas Ohio State was entering the playoff coming off of a loss that was very demoralizing after a rivalry loss, and people were questioning whether or not they really deserved to be in the playoff, and right?
To say the least.
So it took them a little bit to kind of get their offensive rhythm, but once they did, they did. I don't think TCU is going to have that same problem. What did they do against Michigan? They jumped out to a 14-0 lead, right? Horny Toads are a huge underdog in this game. Again. Right?
And Ohio State was underdog by 6, I believe.
Yeah.
So, the 12.5 point spread there, that shows you the difference pretty clearly.
Yeah. But the Horny Toads put up nearly 500 yards of offense in the Fiesta Bowl. And they forced Michigan into uncharacteristic mistakes and 3 turnovers, including 2 pick sixes. And from what I can tell, Michigan, I believe, only had 7 turnovers the entire season up to that point. And the Horny Toads forced 3 in a single game. The TCU defensive front was able to get to McCarthy.
Yeah.
And we saw him under pressure all game. Running back Amari DeMarcado was able to rack up 150 yards on the ground against the number 7 rush defense in the country. All things that nobody predicted coming into this game. Right. Go back to the Peach Bowl. Georgia pulled rabbit from TCU's hat and found a way to win the game. Right. And we've seen that. And the Dogs have the top run defense in the nation, which we saw, and that played a role. Forced Ohio State to really rely a little bit more on CJ Stroud than in the passing game than they probably would have liked.
Yeah.
But they still almost won the game.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the key difference here. TCU put up more yards on the ground than in the air against Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
That's not going to work against Georgia. It's not. So Max Duggan, Heisman runner-up, it's up to you. If TCU can subsist going pass first, the Horny Toads can absolutely win this game.
Mm-hmm.
Either way, 12.5, stupid. If it comes anywhere close to the 2 semifinals, we're in for a great closing night of the season.
Yep.
TCU has found ways to win all season long, but that run defense, TCU really needs the ground game to get their offense going. They've shown that time and time again. Yes, TCU knows how to win close games, but if TCU can't get a ground game going, I think that run defense is going to be the difference here. This game is super close. I hope it comes down to a final possession game, but I think I'm taking the defending national champions to complete the rare repeat. Yep. I would love to see TCU pull this off.
So, okay. What did Georgia struggle with against Ohio State? Just stopping Marvin Harrison Jr. Until they knocked him out of the game. They couldn't consistently pressure CJ Stroud. Ohio State gave a couple sacks, but CJ scrambled just enough, and there was just enough of a running game to kind of keep Georgia's defense off balance a little bit. And then a lot of touches for a lot of players. The ball got spread around all over the place.
Yeah.
And that's if that combined with clever play calling, that'll keep a good defense off balance, particularly one that's not as solid against the pass. How does this translate for TCU? It would be a stretch to say that like a Quentin Johnson is as good as Marvin Harrison Jr., but he's good. I mean, and he's like SEC good. He is as good as I would say he's as good as anyone that Georgia has faced so far this season. Maybe with that one previous exception. Max Duggan is comfortable running. CJ Stroud is not.
Good point.
Being able to evade Georgia's pass rush, being able to make that a consistent part of your running game. And we always harp on quarterbacks who are the team's leading rushers. And that's happened with TCU once or twice this season. But it's not like they have no running game besides him. But it's especially important for him to be able to move and create and to kind of keep that pressure off of him. That is a strength for Georgia, and Ohio State was largely able to deal with that through most of the game anyway. Here's a cool thing: for the season, Ohio State had 5 guys with 10 or more receptions. A little misleading because Harrison and Emeka Egbuka got the bulk of those. They both had 70 plus catches during the season. TCU had 10 or more people with 10 or more receptions. And I'm thinking about the passing game because Georgia's defense, that is, if there is a place where they struggle, that is it.
Right.
So that's that experience. I think that gives Sonny Dykes and the Horny Toads at least some comfort in targeting a lot of different people. And again, you create that thing. Where's the ball going? There aren't necessarily superstars who are you're gonna go to every time. TCU's defense. I mean that Michigan still scored. And you mentioned how opportunistic the Horny Toads were with the pick sixes. But there were timely stops. Both sides of the ball. TCU handled Michigan's physicality really well. The Michigan's quarterback at some point said, the plan was we're gonna get to this point in the game and then we're just gonna Big Ten them. Well, that didn't go well. And so TCU was able to deal with that. And in fact, they handled it better than Ohio State did at the end of November. TCU is not going to beat Georgia with defense either. But this is a situation that the offense is capable of being prolific, particularly if they can run the ball enough. If Max Duggan can use his legs to keep the pressure off of him, and then they start throwing a little bit, spreading it out to different people to all 10 of those guys who are used to seeing the ball coming their way. They really they need some speed bumps. They don't need a world-beating defense to beat Georgia. They just need to get a turnover here or there. They need to get a stop here or there, and they can still be in the game. Final thing, last year it felt like it was Georgia's year, and in particular it was Stetson Bennett's year. And we've talked about him and his story over and over and over and over again. This year, even with the loss in the Big 12 title game, this still feels like TCU's year. This team, with that anomaly, this team knows how to win.
Yeah.
And they do it in games where they probably shouldn't. I mean, TCU shouldn't. If you're looking at broad college football theory, TCU shouldn't be beating Texas on the road, right? Mm-hmm. The games that they pulled out in the fourth quarter are games that they should have lost. These guys, the coaching staff and the players have figured out. Here's how we do it. This is we know how to make this work. And I think that is the final thing. TCU feels like this year's team of destiny. So I'm expecting a tight game. I'm expecting something on par with the semifinal games. It's going to be fun, whether or not you're involved with one of these teams. TCU is going to win this. That is the team of destiny for 2022, and they will close it out as they should. Let's see. We'll do the read. No, we're not going to do the read. We're going to go to our final things, which is a look ahead to 2023. And I posed a couple questions that we're both going to answer. The questions are, what are you most looking forward to in the 2023 season for your team? And Carla, that could be Penn State or Middle or any other team that you pick. And for college football in general. And I'm going to let you go first. What are you looking forward to the most?
So for when you sent me that prompt a little earlier, I immediately went to Penn State just because, recent memory, right? Yes. And to me, the thing I'm most excited about is what does all this young talent mean in Happy Valley?
Mm-hmm.
Right. I mean, you got the two
to have a quarterback who's in his 20s. I mean, that would be a cool thing.
Right. Yeah. But to have a quarterback that's so highly touted and has shown moments this season in the limited action that he saw on the field, has shown moments of potentially being one of the next great Big Ten quarterbacks, mm-hmm. And young, and you've got two young, the running backs in Robinson and Allen, the receivers that I've mentioned that are still just sophomores. I am excited to see if Penn State can finally have an offense to match what is traditionally a good defensive squad. Mm-hmm. And you're losing some talent off of that defense for sure. But it will be fun to see if Penn State can finally stop being little brother in the Big Ten East, mm-hmm. Behind Ohio State and Michigan. And, can we make a run at a division title? Mm-hmm. That's what I'm most excited about for my team. Do you want me to do the college football in general or?
Let me do my team. And then we'll go back. Naturally, I'm looking at Ohio State, and naturally, my questions are the similar. Although I'm focusing on one position. CJ Stroud will enter the draft. That is a foregone conclusion, although he has not announced as such yet. So how do you replace him? Well, there are a couple guys, and it's intriguing. It's not as dire as you might think. Marvin Harrison Jr. is back. Okay. Jackson Smith-Njigba has committed to the draft, but Harrison is back, not draft eligible yet. Travion Henderson, also not draft eligible yet, so he's going to be back. You hope those guys are both healthy. So there are tools to work with. Kyle McCord was QB2 this season. He's been in the program for a couple of years. He has a decent amount of playing time. In mop up, although he has a start against Akron earlier this season, and has looked good. He's not working with the ones when he gets into the game, so it's hard to kind of always figure out how he's going to fit in there. But he's looked solid, has solid numbers. Devin Brown, really intriguing guy. Just finishing up his first year in eligibility. I don't recall if he got on the field at all this season. Apparently he's looked great towards the end of this season and in bowl practices. I know he was a couple of people wrote that they were kind of turning heads when watching him when Ohio State was holding their open practice prior to the Peach Bowl. Interesting thing about him is besides his arm, he has the kind of running ability that recent Ohio State coaches have appreciated, especially Urban, have appreciated. So that you figure there's an advantage there. But Cord is mobile, but not to the degree. He's more kind of in the CJ Stroud mold. The thing about McCord, and I didn't realize this until fairly recently, he was Marvin Harrison Jr.'s quarterback in high school. This is not meant to say like Marvin Harrison Jr. gets to approve who the starting quarterback is, but you got to assume if he has that kind of comfort level with one guy in that kind of history, maybe you don't see as much of a letdown at starting quarterback as you think. So potential quarterback battle there. But given experience and given that connection, I assume Kyle McCord starts the competition with a significant head start. So for college football more broadly, what do you want to see in 2023?
So is it masochistic to say the Big Ten West?
No, not at all.
No, but I mean, seriously, right? Wisconsin's making huge moves right now. Luke Fickell, they signed SMU transfer quarterback Tanner Mordecai. As AJ has pointed out to us privately, a Texas QB with an offensive coordinator that runs the air raid. Interesting.
Folks in Wisconsin are not going to have any idea what they're seeing on the field
exactly.
Next fall. They're all going to become Illinois fans because it's like that's where their football will be played.
Right. Yeah. As a Badgers fans, I want to introduce you to this thing called offense. It's fascinating. You're going to love it.
You will. I promise you will. It's an adjustment, but you're going to have fun.
You're going to have fun. Matt Rule at Nebraska, Purdue stealing Bert's defensive coordinator Ryan Walters as their head coach, while Bert's, as we've said all year, low-key building something at Chambana. Really intriguing. Big Ten West potentially setting up for 2023. So that's going to be really fun to watch. Another thing that's also potentially going to be really fun to watch, Pac-12 offenses. Bo Nix, Michael Penix Jr., Caleb Williams, all coming back to the Pac-12. Then you throw DJU at Oregon State into the mix.
Sure.
And suddenly the Pac-12 quarterback situation could be entertaining as all get out. AJ, I'm jealous. I'm going to have to figure out a way to stay up to watch some Pac-12 football next year because it's going to get pointsy as heck and going to be a lot of fun. And the final thing I'm looking forward to next year is just simply enjoying college football life as we know it. It's the last year of a lot of things, because the college football world changes dramatically in 2024. Texas and Oklahoma go to the SEC, USC and UCLA go to the Big Ten, and we get a 12-team playoff, all happening in the 2024-2025 season. So 23-24 is really kind of the end of college football as we know it. Could be in a lot more ways. We'll see what happens during the off season. I guarantee we will end up doing a show about something in July, because
absolutely
something will happen inevitably. So yeah, I'm just going to kind of milk it and enjoy it for one more year before we get this whole new world, and it's going to be fun too. It's just going to be different. So
true.
That's what I'm looking forward to.
True. Okay. I had written down Wisconsin with Mordecai coming there. The juxtaposition is going to be so interesting because what Wisconsin people are accustomed to seeing is down in Champaign-Urbana, and what they're going to see presumably is something that the whole Big Ten West doesn't really see it. So that's going to be an interesting contrast. I'm not sure. I'm going to be super happy about the change when it happens because that suddenly becomes a more difficult thing to deal with. But we will see how it goes. My main thing, of course, is Michigan, and for a couple of reasons that may or may not be related. Story broke today. Michigan is under an NCAA investigation. Apparently there are serious charges involved here. They will be revealed by the university and by the NCAA soon. They did not assign a rating. I think the NCAA does 1 through 5, with 1 being the most serious, down to. So we don't know at that granular level what we're talking about here. A thing I was not aware of until I read this. There's a recently passed NCAA rule that makes head coaches responsible for things that happen in the program, whether or not they know it happened. I am on the record as saying that NCAA Division I head coaches know. Period. I suspect that is kind of what this rule is getting at, because you don't get to be the coach of a major college football program if you don't know what's going on with your program. Jim Tressel famously said, both at Youngstown State and Ohio State, it's well, I didn't know that those things were going on. And Jim, come on, you are a control freak of the highest order. You knew. Anyway, so there's a possibility that Michigan's head coach could face personal sanctions in addition to whatever sanctions his program faces. That comes along with the idea that for the second year in a row, Jim Harbaugh is entertaining offers from the NFL. Difference. Last year, he was open about it. He told his team, he told the athletic director, he said, I am going to be exploring my options in the NFL. Again, I'm being upfront, transparent. I want you guys to know. The upshot of that was he had interviews with the Vikings, I believe, and did not get a job offer. All the reporting says that Harbaugh is entertaining offers from the NFL again. Denver is believed to have made an offer. Indy is interested. I think there was one other program that was interested in him. One other team is interested in. The difference this time, Harbaugh has not discussed any of this publicly. There are people who know Michigan's program well, who said that he will go back to the NFL at the first opportunity. And they've been saying that every year that since he left the 49ers and returned to Ann Arbor. So you take that with a grain of salt, but apparently there is there's a strong possibility, and I've read this in more than one place, that if he gets an offer that he likes, he will go. I don't understand it. I don't know if there's like an ego / sibling rivalry / we never could say the word rivalry properly, so and I still can't. John has a Super Bowl trophy. I need one of those. So I don't. It's baffling to me. I mean, if he were to win a national title at Michigan, he would be immortal. I mean, and if he goes to the NFL, if he goes back to the NFL now, I mean, I can't. I'm not a Michigan fan. I'm not really qualified to make judgments about how those folks should react, but I'm going to anyway. And I he's just, if he leaves now, he's just another Brady Hoke. He's another transient coach who's going to leave a really talented Michigan team in a bind, in a position where they got to start over. I have a vested interest in this as an Ohio State fan. Obviously, I am fascinated about how this would work and what the dynamics would be as a Big Ten fan, and as a college football fan, I find it kind of annoying, actually. I'm not going to be sad if Jim Harbaugh leaves Ann Arbor, but why? You would have literally everything you need at the program where you play. Your family grew up with this program. You played college football there for Bo Schembechler. You have modeled yourself down to the freaking sunglasses and chewing gum and what you wear on the sidelines after Bo Schembechler. Why would you leave? I don't get it. So I may not have to wait till the 2023 season to find out how that's going to go. That could be something we find out next week. We'll see. But anyway, that is my much too long dissertation on what's going on with the head coaching job at Michigan and our friend Jimmy Harbaugh. Boys and girls, the final read of the 2022 season. You can hear the Carla and Crrappy Show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, and a variety of other podcasting hosts. You can watch us on YouTube or the show's Facebook page. If you like us, please subscribe, rate, and review. If you don't, mind your own damn business. Be sure to come back probably next summer, I would think. I kind of like the tradition of the summertime of the summertime show where we get kind of caught up on everything and get ready for the season to come. So be sure to come back in the summer. We'll ping you. I mean, there will be a show, I would imagine. And then season 12, right?
Season 12. It's a dozen. Yeah, remarkable.
It's a lot. It is a lot, but again, there are absolutely no reasons not to keep doing this. So
yep.
Why not? Carla, it was great having you for a whole year. That was awesome.
I know, it's the first time in a couple of years that's happened.
I was the one who had to miss a show or two this year, and so I appreciate you guys you and AJ taking up the slack for that. Got to thank AJ for everything that he does for us. Watches the shows that we don't have the energy to. Keeps us informed in that part of the college football world. And he digs into the stuff way deeper than either of us do. So having his perspective is fantastic. Our Bowlapalooza guests were awesome as always. We're gonna keep inviting everybody that we can think of, and whoever shows up, we're gonna have some fun. And now trophies. There are trophies, people.
You too can have an ancient Pittsburgh Pirates bobblehead
purchased at a thrift store for $3. Slightly used condition, but with the box.
Ooh.
And then Carla, I mean, thank you. This is this is one of the fun things of college football season. And I never, when we started this, I didn't know it was going to turn out like this. It was just kind of an interesting diversion for draft day suit. But yeah, it has been fantastic. And I would not change any of the 11 years. And if I'm still able to speak this fall, let's do season 12.
I'm in.
Okay.
Yep. Same thing. It's remarkable that it's been this long, and that we learn more about the game every year, even though it used to be my job,
Someday we're going to know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
AJ knows what he's talking about. Carla knows what she's talking about. I have my narrow little box that I occasionally wander out of.
Hey, even I couldn't have predicted TCU's 3-3-5 defense working the way that it did against Michigan.
True. I'm not sure that AJ would have done that either, but he might correct me on that. We'll see. Guys, also thanking you.
Yes.
For watching and for listening, as we always do. We really appreciate it. The tens of you who are with us regularly to make all of this worthwhile. And when I hear from friends who listen to the show, or when I hear from friends who are griping at me because the show is late being published, it warms my heart. Even though you guys are being cranky with me, so fine, whatever. It means that you're anticipating, you're listening, and that's fantastic. Basketball season or hockey season
something.
Golf. I like watching golf. I'm an old white dude. I love watching golf, so that's looking forward to that. 1AA title game is Sunday. The big Natty is Monday night. There are all-star games. There's the NFL if you want. So
the draft is fun.
The draft is fun. So guys, I hope you weather the transition well. Thank you for watching, for listening. Cheers to you. Cheers to AJ. Yes. Cheers to our Bowlapalooza guests, and Carla. Cheers especially to you.
And cheers to you.
Thank you very much, guys. Have a great off season. We'll see you back here in the summer. Guarantee it.